U.S. administration led an alliance of Middle Eastern and European countries since the conflict began in Syria, seeking to overthrow the Syrian regime. Recently, these countries' stances varied between being tolerant just a few times and strict many others. Between a statement here that considers talking with the Syrian president and many others rejecting to negotiate with the Syrian government, Al-Assad is excluded. Many factors stand behind the confusion towards the Syrian conflict. However, it doesn't seem that terrorism blogging in the European society may change these governments' policies. Meanwhile, Russia has started its war on terrorism in Syria before this blog reaches its boundaries. Nevertheless, the Russian campaign didn't find a positive feedback from the Western alliance.
Western governments' attitudes towards Daesh show some sort of ambivalence. In one sense, the Western governments pronounce themselves against Daesh. On the other hand, we find that Daesh is financed by the allies of Western governments, by governments in the region, in the Middle East, and also by funds coming from individuals who are citizens of countries loyal to the West.
This coalition is instead accusing the Russian campaign to be escalating sectarianism and resembling it to the extremist organization's military and sectarian actions over the past years, which proves the coalition's dishonesty and failure to head the organizations classified on the list of terrorism in Syria and Iraq.
Well, I suppose that they are playing politics with this. What they are doing is essentially trying to weaken the regime to show that the destiny of President Assad is the main issue in Syria, while at the same time I believe that the main issue in Syria is how to salvage the people from the curse of terrorism.
Perhaps the strategy of fighting terrorism in Syria, Libya, Iraq and Afghanistan is not a repeated failure as much as it's a strategic plan to worsen the situation in these countries without taking effects of terrorism spreading beyond boundaries into consideration. Believers of Al-Qaeda ideology live their lives in the Western cities, bragging of following ISIS in front of the local authorities, who seem in turn careless about these ticking bombs. Mais Youssef, MEC, Damascus.